This is what we have been waiting for. Since the leaders of Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali announced last year that they plan to establish a confederation, everyone who is a true Pan-African has been waiting for when it would become a reality. And right now, it has indeed become a reality. On Saturday, July 6, 2024, the leaders of each of the three countries, President Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso, President Asimi Goita of Mali, and President Tiani of Niger met at the capital of Niger, Niamey, for their first summit as the Alliance of the Sahel State, AES. If you recall in one of our recent videos with the title, Good News as Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso just finalized plans to form the Confederation, we showed you how the foreign ministers of the three countries met in Bamako, Mali, to iron out the workings of the new alliance on December 1st, 2023. Then on May 17th, after a meeting held between the foreign ministers of the three countries, they revealed that they had finalized the draft text relating to the institutionalization and operationalization of the Confederation of the Alliance of Sahel State. In simple terms, they had finished the plans needed to start the Confederation. The foreign minister of Niger then stated that the text would be adopted by the heads of state of the three countries at a summit, although at the time, he didn't say when the summit would be held. Well, we don't have to wait anymore because the summit he was talking about was held just a few days ago, specifically on July 6th. This summit, which is the first summit organized by Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso as the Confederation of the Alliance of the Sahel, is a historic moment not just for the three countries, but also for the West African region and the African continent as a whole. Against all odds, the leaders of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have been able to establish an organization that is free from Western influence and whose focus is solely on protecting the interest of its people. Truly, these guys are revolutionary, and we will talk more about this later in the video. But what was the outcome of the first AES summit? You know, the AES was created by Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso to pool their efforts to combat insecurity and promote socio-economic development in the Sahel region, which is considered the poorest region in Africa. Although rich in resources and has geographical importance because of its location, the region has not developed since independence because of exploitation by the West, particularly France in conjunction with greedy African leaders. However, the leaders of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have decided to create the AES to unite the people of the Sahel, fight insecurity, and promote development without the influence of the West. This is why all three countries have kicked out French forces and ended diplomatic relations with France, which has been its neo-colonial master for decades. During this first summit of the AES, the three leaders signed a charter officially establishing the Confederation of the Alliance of Sahel States. And just like other unions and blocs, the three leaders established an investment bank and a stabilization fund for the Confederation as per the recommendation of the draft text. The president of Mali, Asimi Goita, was appointed as the AES president for a one-year term and expressed his firm determination to transform the alliance into a model of regional cooperation, solidarity, and development, as well as a model of sub-regional integration in accordance with the principles of the Liptako-Gourma Charter. Aside from that, the president of Niger, General Tiani, said during the meeting that people of the AES have irrevocably turned away from ECOWAS. He further called for turning the bloc into an alternative to any sham regional organization by creating a sovereign community of peoples not under the domination of foreign powers. In his own words, it is up to us today to make the AES Confederation an alternative to any artificial regional group by building a community free from the control of foreign powers. The interesting thing is that the AES's first summit was held a day before the proposed date for the Summit of Heads of State of ECOWAS, which planned to persuade Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso back to the regional bloc. With this, isn't it obvious that there is no need for that summit anymore, because the AES summit officially declares that Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso are no longer part of ECOWAS and are now part of the new regional bloc, the AES. Well, the summit was still held on Sunday 8th, where Nigerian President Bola Tinubu, whose tenure as chairman of the bloc had ended, was re-elected for another one-year term. We wonder why he was re-elected when he didn't achieve anything tangible in his 1 year as chairman. In fact, it was during his time as chairman it became obvious that the regional bloc had so many problems, including being under the influence of the West. So, why was he re-elected? It wouldn't be surprising if he paid everybody to be re-elected again. After all, that is how he won the Nigerian election. It's possible that President Tinubu doesn't want his name to go down in history as the ECOWAS chairman who dissolved the bloc, and so he wants to try and use another year to bring back Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso back to ECOWAS. So, even though the AES summit clearly declares that they are out of the bloc for good, President Tinubu still harbors some hope that they can be persuaded to come back, and that is why he appointed the president of Senegal, Diomaye Faye, and the president of Togo, Faure Gnassingbe, to lead ECOWAS mediation efforts with Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. Well, he should prepare his mind that his hopes will be dashed because those countries are not coming back. The only option will be for ECOWAS to be integrated into the AES with the leaders of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso at its head. So right now, West Africa has two blocs, ECOWAS and the AES. The question is, which will fall? With the way ECOWAS has been begging the three countries to return to the bloc, it's obvious that Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are important to the bloc, so their leaving is obviously a huge problem for ECOWAS. The AES, on the other hand, does not need ECOWAS. Individually, members of the AES have good relations with most of the members of ECOWAS, so they definitely won't have any problem when it comes to trade. In fact, some countries such as Chad and Togo have even joined the AES combat mission to fight against insecurity. So from the look of things, it certainly won't be the AES that will fall. And as for ECOWAS, only time will tell. Now, what makes the AES different from ECOWAS? The AES member countries, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, are all led by military governments, whose leaders are disciplined and have been called sophisticated by the US military. The ECOWAS bloc, on the other hand, comprises democratically elected leaders, the majority of which came into power through election fraud and malpractice. These so-called democratic leaders are fraudsters and puppets who trade the interests of their citizens for their own interests. Though democratically elected, they do not have the support of their citizens who curse them every day, unlike that of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, which have the support of their people even though they assumed power through a coup. In addition to this, the AES member countries are not under the influence of the West. Each of these countries has kicked out the military forces of their former colonial master France and cut off diplomatic relations with it. As opposed to before they became leaders of their countries, France no longer influences these countries. Since the member countries do not conform to external influence, the alliance itself is also not under the influence of any foreign Western country. However, the reverse is the case for ECOWAS and even the African Union. Both ECOWAS and the African Union are under the influence of the West. The African Union, for instance, is partly funded by the European Union, and that is why it doesn't have much influence. ECOWAS has also received funding from the EU on numerous occasions, and aside from that, as we saw last year, France was behind the reason why the bloc initially intended to use force against Niger after the 10 July coup occurred. In essence, the AES is an alternative to the regional bloc ECOWAS. As Ibrahim Traore stated, the bloc has left the founding ideals of why it was created and is now under the influence of foreign governments. Hence, the reason for the creation of the AES. No matter what ECOWAS does, the AES is not returning to the bloc, and that is final. It is a new dawn for the region, and we applaud the leader of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso for taking his fantastic decision. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video.